Hello and welcome. You are listening to the Gay with God podcast, a safe place for us to share our stories and support one another. How long did we know? What challenges did we face? Did we lose our faith? When did we find our way back home? Or are we still searching? The stories you hear on this podcast will melt your heart and strengthen your belief that in God, all things are possible, and you can be authentically gay with the God of your understanding. I am your host, Midge Noble, and I am very honored that you are here. Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Gay with God podcast. I am very glad that you're here, and I am Midge Noble, your host. And as always, I'm just so thankful for your comments and your ability to stay present with us as we navigate together this world and our faith and our coming out journeys, and that we just honor all that we're going through. So if you looked at the title of this before you started watching it or listening to it, actually, I call this More Questions Than Answers. You know, I love it when we have guests that come on and they can teach us something or give us information that's really relevant to share. And I appreciate their wisdom and I appreciate what they offer us. And oftentimes in these little snippets that I give you, I am also trying to give all of us, you and me included, something to think about, something to go with and try to incorporate into our lives, like praying for our enemies, which is always a work in progress for all of us. And if you have it nailed down completely without having any slip in your compassion level or your enthusiasm for it, please let me know, because I am definitely a work in progress. But I did read a post from a very wise person that I call a friend, and I wanted to share that with you. Now, she posted this on Facebook, and it's public, and so I feel okay about sharing this with you guys. She says that she has been screaming this into the void for 10 years. It's nice to read that some folks are finally starting to get what this is and why keeping the attention on him by launching attacks at his immorality only feeds him and further enables his agenda. Democrats don't even know what game they're playing, and they still don't. They're still trying to make chess moves in a game of checkers. She's absolutely right. According to me, I am a Democrat, and I have absolutely no idea how to combat the evil that is around us. I have no idea how to keep myself from going to rage when I see all of the atrocities that are being done in this power-hungry, top-level regime that I just don't know what to do. So we are told to speak our truth to power. We are told to make people aware of the truth, what's really going on out there, and not to let the fake news or the sugar-coated stuff continue to get away with what they're doing. And yet, how do we? What do we do? I don't know if this will solve all of our questions, but it definitely helped me. So my friend had posted also something that was made public by Ian Boothby, and this is what Ian said. People are still trying to attack Trump by pointing out his hypocrisy, the incompetence of his staff, and the reality that the economy is tanking and his policies have no hope of actually working. These would be solid hits against any other politician, but they don't work on Trump. Democrats are like the soldiers still shooting at Godzilla. They do it because it's all they know how to do, but it's not working, and they keep getting stomped on. They're attacking him like he's a politician, and he's not. He never has been. He's a celebrity. That's it. Sometimes he's a celebrity real estate mogul, sometimes a celebrity reality TV host, and sometimes a celebrity president. Do you remember when The Apprentice was canceled? You do? Well, good news if you liked it, bad news if you didn't. It never stopped. It just went global. You're living in the show right now, Black Mirror style. Nothing he does makes sense as the leader of a country, and everything makes perfect sense as a reality show producer. Everyone he's hired have no idea how to do their job, but they are great reality show material. The anti-vax nut in charge of healthcare, the guy with no experience and a drinking problem in charge of the military, the head of the FBI can't believe he got the gig and hired an extreme right-wing podcaster as his voice of reason. How can you not watch that train wreck? Actually, it's plane crashes, but you get it. It's a TV show, and so all that matters to him are the ratings. He's said it over and over. After the terrible Zelensky meeting, the last thing he said was, "This is going to make great TV." Almost 60,000 Ukrainians dead, and he and Vance set up their own Real Housewives scenario where they called Zelensky ungrateful, bragged about themselves, and made fun of his clothes. Made no sense in reality, but perfect sense if your goal is ratings. Trump is producing a reality show because it's one of the only things he knows how to do. And he's learned that it doesn't matter how bad things get, he'll be safe and the show will be renewed as long as there are eyeballs on him interested in what he's doing. In the world of real life, he's a felon, in court answering charges and paying for sexual assault. As long as he's on TV, he's safe. 1 million Americans died from a disease he called a hoax because reality wasn't good for the plot of the show he was producing. He won the popular vote because doing extreme things is interesting. Keeping things in chaos keeps you the center of attention. There's no winning in winning, only in saying you're about to win. Ratings go down when plot lines are resolved. You can never have a healthcare plan. A great one has to always been a few weeks away. Once something exists, it becomes reality and people can judge it. Keep things nuts and all hope in the future, and you're gold. So how do you beat him? Run a qualified, sensible candidate against him? Maybe. Reality has the advantage if it actually being real, but you need to weaken him first. Remember how mad he got at Alec Baldwin's impression on Saturday Night Live? Really got under his skin because Trump is about image. And Baldwin's impression was a counter image that made him look ugly. Baldwin was enough of a celebrity to enter into the only world Trump cares about. It made Trump number 2 on the call sheet. The same thing happened with Steve Bannon. The hashtag President Bannon started to trend after a popular editorial cartoon and some tweets saying Bannon was the one actually in charge, and it caused a big split between them because Trump can't be the co-star. He needs to be what he was on The Apprentice, the be-all and end-all voice of authority and power, unquestionable, with the final say on all issues. If he's not, he's got nothing. He was furious at Spy magazine for saying he had small hands, so much so he bragged about his penis size in a debate. He has doctors tell people he's taller than he is and weighs less than he obviously does. He cannot have any shortcomings. He's a reality show character, and like most of them, with the name of a real person, but more fiction than an actual person. So to bring him down, you need to attack one thing, his image. You need something fictional with a core of truth that takes the place of the fiction he's presenting. Like J.D. Vance having sex with a couch. A stickier narrative than the one they're putting forth. The problem with just attacking with the truth is it's not as interesting or appealing as a good made-up story. You need to back up the truth with facts, and by the time you do that, people have lost interest. It's what John Oliver has shown. Wrap the medicine of the truth in the tasty cheese of jokes and make up scenarios, and that pet might actually get better. The only things that have worked against Trump are image-based. Jokes, memes, sketches, cartoons. They're the first thing you need to do in the boss level of the video game before any of your truth-based hits can land and bring them down. You're in season 21 of The Apprentice. Like it or not, time to be like past Celebrity Apprentice winner Joan Rivers and get mean and hilarious. All that matters is today. No one remembers last week. People write books with the most horrific stories, but they might as well take place in the Roman Empire. You're on the reality show now. Make a scene, take focus, mess with his image. It's all he has. Once that's gone, he falls. At the end of the article, his last line is, "Time to cancel this terrible show." And I took that as a thing to do. So I actually did go online and I found the show and I rated it as a thumbs down, and I rated everything I could find as a thumbs down. My own little bit of resistance, I guess. So to recap, I believe everything my friend said about how we've been getting it wrong and why we're not making headway in this battle. And I totally understand where Ian's coming from, and I understand what he's talking about and why that would work better to mess with his image. And here is where I have probably more questions than answers for you. So as a Christian, I really struggle with demeaning other people. And not that I haven't given him a hard time, not that I haven't been ugly, probably online multiple times, but when I think about that, I feel pretty bad about myself in how I might be handling this whole situation. I react out of anger and fear instead of doing something that, may just make it worse and not helpful. And my other question is, as far as should I be doing that? Should I be responding in that way? I feel frustrated in whether or not any of that will ever work anyway. If I'm reposting all day long on my feed, which I have been, every little nugget of information that I think people need to be aware of to get bolstered to fight this guy, it's made my feed just a political mess of anger and really depression. And I have felt that in my soul because that's not who I am by nature. I don't like to be that. And I've always promoted love and kindness and resilience. And yet in this scenario, I've become part of the problem. And yet my question is, what do I do instead? So let's go to the memes and the jokes and the stuff. Well, I love listening to The Daily Show, and I love how they spin all of their little stories, and they're telling the truth, but they're really, making him the butt of the joke. And that makes me laugh. So I don't know if that's what they're talking about, that I should share those types of things instead of all these depressing reports and opinions and all that stuff that people are writing about and probably have a very good handle on things. I just don't know where I'm being led to be helpful. I don't know what I'm supposed to do at this point to make an impact. So that's where I have more questions. How do I speak truth to power and make it effective so that people who are really not on the side of DEI, democracy, love, kindness, inclusion, how do I make a post that would enlighten someone? Now, my dear Father Joe told me that nothing has ever been won on a Facebook post. Nobody's mind has ever been changed, and I believe him, and yet I feel desperate. And I do feel desperate in the way that I don't know what to do, and so I'm grabbing at straws and trying to post things that may be helpful, and apparently they're not. So I now drop this into your lap. How do you feel about your interaction online? Do you feel like you're doing something really positive? Like another guy that I follow that is really awesome is Stephen Charleston, who is a retired Episcopal bishop of Alaska and actually wrote the book, The Bishop of Mars, which is brilliant. And he has the best uplifting posts every morning. And for example, 6 hours ago, he posted one voice at a time. That is how it will work. One voice in the crowd, one voice raised in question, one in defiance, one by one, voice by voice, until a chorus speaks out. A community, a movement worldwide, speak up. Let your voice be heard. The rest, as they say, will be history. He always has these wonderful posts, and I love them. And sometimes I'll repost them. The thing is, our voice is important. We cannot stop speaking truth to power, but it's how we speak that truth, I think, is the nugget. How do we speak it to where people can hear it? And will they? Will they ever hear it on a Facebook post? Right now I'm probably just singing to the choir, and that's not helpful. So, and I doubt seriously if any MAGA Republicans are ever going to listen to my podcast. Now, I know that some people see my posts that are on the other side because I get blasted for things that I've written or things that I've talked about. But I think, to save myself, I've been careful not to um, go into places that I know are going to be a direct backlash because I know they're not going to hear me. They're just not. So for me, my beloveds, I'm trying to find a better way to be online and to be the person that I believe I have always been called to be, which is not a person of hate and not a person of awful behaviors. The other day I posted, after I had talked about these posts that I read to you in this podcast. So it said, let's hashtag drop the drama and have some fun. Think image busters, cartoons, memes, jokes. Number 45 has not earned respect. So see, I'm not even sure if I like that one because I don't know if I have the ability to create cartoons or memes about him and belittle him because as a Christian, I don't want to do that. And yet I don't know what else to do. So I am going to probably start posting some of the Daily Show stuff. I may not post anything at all about the election anymore. I'm having to sit with that and I'm going to be in silence for a little bit and try to figure this out. But today I wanted you to ask yourself these questions. I want you to ask yourself this question about how to be a light in the world and not ignore the darkness. The thing that really drives me crazy is when somebody has their head in the sand and they just will flippantly say, just trust God, but not pay attention to how other people are being forever changed by losing their rights and losing the things that matter, like health care and services for children and the ability to buy food and the ability to buy gas or whatever is going to be taxed high, where regular people who live in the real world can't afford anymore. And my heart just breaks when I think about the damage he has done in 50 some days. And we have 4 years of this. I can't even imagine what we're going to look like in another month, let alone 4 years. So I want us to be hopeful. I want us to be bold. I want us to speak out. And I want us to question what is the right way to do that. And each of us may have a different idea about that. And I don't know if there is a right or wrong way. I know that Jesus was bold. I know he spoke out against things, and I don't think that's wrong. I think what I'm struggling with is how to do that without falling into the trap of being pure hate and rage when I'm doing it. And so if you have ideas, please share them with me. Make a comment. Write me personally at empoweredmidge@gmail.com. Let me know your thoughts. What's your wisdom? And maybe you want to come on the show and we can put it back and forth. Who knows? But I believe in your wisdom and I believe in our resilience. Many have come before us, as I've said, and we're going through the trial now in real time. How do we want to look back on the history of our interactions in a year or more? How will we feel about ourselves? And did we walk the walk of Jesus? And did we speak up for the right things that Jesus spoke about? And I love one of the other posts that my friend wrote. She had shared a quote by William Youngblood that said Christian nationalism is looking at Jesus's three temptations and thinking he made the wrong choices. And she wrote, there's nothing Christian about it. American evangelicalism has no moral grounding in biblical faith or theological rootedness in ancient Semitic Christianity whatsoever. And later she said, don't drink the populist Kool-Aid, read the actual Gospels if you want to see for yourself what would Jesus do. So that's exactly where we're headed. We need to stay connected to exactly how Jesus handled conflict and the dire straits that they were in during his time, because it may look different now than it did then, but it's all relative of someone wanting power and lording it over someone who appears to be weaker. But look at the faith and how we have emerged. We never went away. We didn't get erased. None of us have ever been erased. Have we had trials? Absolutely. Are we in one now? Yes. Is it going to last a while? I fear so. And yet we have not been erased. So while we still have the breath and we're still breathing and we can still make an impact, let us consistently speak truth to power and find hopeful, wonderful things that are still going on. Today, I reposted a story about the U.S. Marine Band forced to cancel the concert with students of color after he did his DEI order. And it was a beautiful, heartwarming story that was really, really sad, and yet they flipped it and they made it not just something that some people were going to hear, but now it's going all over the internet. And it is, and one of the things they talked about is that this is what America looks like. And, I said diversity is our history and our future. Believe and create new ways forward. So I really liked how I was able to find an uplifting story and still talk about the need for diversity and inclusion. This is exactly what we need, is stories that can point to the problem but also uplift. And sometimes we may just have to show the inhumanity of him and the ridiculousness of him. So find that balance and see what feels right in your soul. And let's continue to walk the talk of Jesus and do it in such a way that we feel good about what we're doing as we are in relationship with the God of our understanding. Thank you, everybody, for spending this time with me. Please continue to support, share, and subscribe wherever you get your podcasts. And if you want more information and links to connect with me, go to the Gay with God show page at empoweredmidge.podbean.com. That's where you can find not only links to have a conversation with me, to have a confidential coaching session with me, and to buy my memoir, Gay with God, Reclaiming My Faith, Honoring My Story. Check out our Facebook group, Gay with God, where we do a monthly Zoom group entitled My Faith Journey. If you need support to help you through your coming out or faith journey, please connect with me. I give you a complimentary session up front, and then we can see if we're a good match, and we'll talk about ongoing coaching from there. If you are listening to this podcast and are questioning whether you can be gay and be in a relationship with the God of your understanding, if you identify as LGBTQIA+, or not even sure if you're gay, God has always been within you. Even when you didn't know it, you have always been gay with God. Thank you, everybody. Stay tuned to see how you can join the Gay with God community. And as always, you are loved. I want to invite you to become a part of the Gay with God community. How can you do that? Stay connected by messaging me your thoughts and comments in the comment section under the downloads of the show on the Gay with God show page. Subscribe to this podcast wherever you listen and share so we can increase our community outreach and be a light to those who are struggling to claim their faith. Consider being a sponsor so I can highlight your service in our community. We are all worthy of respect and a relationship with the God of our understanding. I want to thank you in advance for supporting this podcast. Together, we as a community will keep this show visible and our community stronger. Deep gratitude to my friend Tim McClendon of Tim McClendon Music for allowing me to use an excerpt from Interlude 4, a song found on his CD entitled Sundance.